Hi everyone. In today's video, we will see how to use AutoML functionality using OAC Data Flow. Now, before we do that, let's understand what AutoML is at a very high level. Now, for those who have built machine learning models would know that there are a lot of steps that one has to perform before we arrive at the exact machine learning algorithm or the machine learning model that we intend to develop. As you can see on my screen, there are a lot of steps like algorithm selection, attribute importance, hyperparameter tuning, sampling the data, then testing the model. Testing the model in the first go may not give you the exact results or the exact accuracy that you intend. Then you have to keep on doing this activity in a loop until you reach to a conclusion that, okay, this is the algorithm that I have to select, and this is my final machine learning model that I want to take it forward. So it's a very rigorous activity. It could be time consuming, and most importantly, it requires a programming language or the technical knowledge for somebody to execute. Now, what AutoML does is AutoML does all these steps in the background so that somebody who do not have an understanding of the technical stuff can still perform and use this AutoML from the OAC UI. So this can be done using the OAC data flow. Now, how to do that? Let's move forward and let's see how to achieve this using OAC console. So before I start with my activities in OAC, I will just give you a glimpse into the prerequisites. So what I have done is, for this demo, I have loaded 3 spreadsheets as a dataset: master subscription dataset, subscription train dataset, and subscription test dataset. Then what I have done is, I have loaded this test data and train data into ADW tables using data flow. So as you can see on my screen, there are 2 data flows: train data and test data, that is loading the data into ADW tables. If I go to SQL Developer and query one of the table, you will see the data appearing in that table. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, the next step I will do is, I will run the AutoML using the OAC data flow. So let's click on create data flow. I will take my train data set and I'll click on AutoML. Now remember, this AutoML option will only come if the source data set is in the database itself. That is, if you take a spreadsheet as a source, this AutoML option will not appear. So I'll click on AutoML. I'll select my target column. My target column is subscribed. Now, the moment I selected my target column, the task type is automatically populated as classification. So this AutoML has actually gone into the data and verified whether it is a regression or a data set or a binary classification data set. Once it has identified it, in the model ranking matrix, you get different models that you can apply. So you have accuracy, balance accuracy, and F1 micro, F1 macro. You can select an appropriate one based on the kind of data you have in your data set. For this demo, I'm going to select balance accuracy. I'll click on save model. I'll give it as ML underscore SUB. And I'll click on save. I'll name this data flow as DF ML SUB. And I'll click on execute. Now, once you click on the execute, in the backend, this AutoML is basically doing all the steps that I have shown you in my this slide. So it is doing algorithm selection, attribute importance, hyperparameter tuning, sampling the data, and all that. So the way product is designed right now is, in the backend, there is a parameter which is applied equal to 3 at this moment. So what that 3 does is, it takes 3 best possible algorithms and it weights the output or the accuracy of those 3 algorithms against each other. And once the AutoML finalizes that, okay, this is the algorithm that gives the best accuracy, that is something that is associated with your model. So for example, in this case, we have a classification data set. So when we are running this data flow, it could check the accuracy against probably random forest, naive Bayes, or it could take support vector machine, decision tree. So there are three algorithms it picks and selects the best one based on the accuracy that it gives. Now the same can be verified from the SQL developer also. So there is a table called mining models. If I just query this table right now, it should give me some kind of an insight into what is happening. Okay, so once the data flow is complete, you will see only one entry here against today's date. So let me pause this video and come back when the data flow is completed. All right, so this data flow is completed now. So let's go to SQL Developer and see what is the output we are seeing in all mining models table. Okay, so if you see there is a single entry for today's date with a model name that we have given in our data flow, and the algorithm it has finalized this decision tree. The same can be verified from the UI as well. So if I go to my machine learning option, you see the model that got created here. If I click on inspect, it gives us a different information like access, the details. In the details, you see model info, input column, output column, various parameters that the model has selected, and the related option gives you different views that got created. So these views basically store the metadata. So for example, if I just select one view here and try to query the data against it, it should give me some metadata related to the decision tree model that has been finalized. Okay. Similarly, you can query other views also to see what sort of metadata it is holding. Now, once the machine learning model is set up, we have to apply this machine learning model on a test data set. So I'll go to create data flow. I'll select my test data set. I'll apply the model. If you see here, there are two columns which are important, prediction and prediction probability. So prediction will tell whether the customer has subscribed or not, that is yes or no. And prediction probability will give some number that is with what level of confidence it is predicting that output, whether it is like 40%, 50%, 90%, 80%, that kind of a probability it will give. Now I'm clicking on save data. I'll just give this dataset name as test. I'll change the data type of some of the columns. It is not mandatory. It purely depends on whether you want to change it or not. I'll just make it as attribute. And let me just check one of the column. Yes. So this one only I want to keep it as major. I'll save this. Let me just name it as test and run this data flow. So I'll pause the video here, and once this data flow complete, we will see the next steps. All right, so this data flow is completed now. So let's go to data tab, and I'll create a workbook on this data set that got created. Now I'm going to select three columns: prediction, prediction probability, and let me just select one by one: prediction, prediction probability, and customer number. So if you see, what it is telling is, for a customer number 25058, the customer will not subscribe to our services, and it is predicting it with a prediction probability as 0.65, that is 65%. Similarly, if I scroll down, you will see there are different customers. There's a different prediction output with different prediction probability. So this way you can use AutoML functionality to do your prediction. It can be a classification, it can be a binary classification, or it can be a regression also. Hope you have enjoyed this video on how to use AutoML functionality using OAC Data Flow. If you have any questions around it, please drop them in the comment section. Thank you.